it was a pop-up that God just put a vision in my heart and just said, do it. And so my biggest thing is being obedient and doing it, even if it doesn't make sense to me. We have a great team, about 7 core members, and we have over 200 community partnerships. And those partnerships are churches, they're agencies, they're community association, nonprofits, they're everyone. They're leaders, community leaders without even a community association. It's just they're leaders. And so I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. And that's just how it goes. It's like a cluster. You just keep on building and building and building. Then I have different community partnerships that they help with just jobs. I know my lane. My lane is connecting. And so we have other people that help with jobs, and we have other people that help with missing children. We have people that has their own niche, and we just want them to feel a part. So I just connect them. And shout out to Diamond K. He's very influential in the community, offering platforms. I started Restoring the RTV Project radio show as just a way of getting information out to the community. It can be so many things that can go on, but what we want to do is only solely work and focus on the positive. And so that's all that Restoring the Village is doing. Everything on there is positive, and there's no negativity. We've lost that communication. And so I love when people actually come on and actually can talk to people and let them know what they're doing and why they should support them, and how they can be supported. So I just think that loving on one another is the best thing that we can do right now. I would love to see, more people getting involved in their communities. And again, that's, kind of off, but getting more involved in the community is the best thing that we can do. I'm totally not against police officers. Of course, we know there's some good and bad with anything and anybody. I want to really, truly make a difference. I'm running in the same district that my husband was murdered in. And that right there shows strength. It shows that we can recover from anything. And it's not to say recover, but we can conquer anything. And you can make a difference even in your brokenness.
So silly.
Hello, everyone. Oh my gosh, welcome back.
Yes.
I just wanted to say I missed you guys.
Well, it's only me here.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying I missed being on the show. I missed being on the show. There's a lot of people lined up to come on, and just wanted to do like a little reflection before we go into November with a lot of guests. Right. We might be trying to do 2 guests per show to try to get them all in, but that's the good part, that we have had a lot of good feedback. We do have a guest on today, but before we bring them on, we just wanted to actually just talk about some of the things that Restoring the Village is trying to do in the community, as well as just being visible. Mm-hmm. Again, I've been watching. I've been with this whole campaign stretch going on. I've been away, but I've been watching, and we've been having a lot of great people on and a lot of great topics.
We have.
Yeah, so we want to continue to have, the RTV radio show to be just that, of helping to restore our village. We wanted to actually talk about some events that are coming up, and some of the things I wanted to first say that October has been adopted. It was adopted October the 7th, but October is officially the Youth Justice Awareness Month. And so we do have a guest that will be talking about, the youth justice and some policies and upcoming events that they have going on. But I think that was very good, because we're seeing more of the youth being more vocal and, just being considered. Yesterday we had a, I guess you want to call it march or walk, a peace walk with the men.
Yeah,
And
I
just
saw that.
seeing the
That was
presence of
amazing.
men.
Right, and it was a lot of them.
It was a lot. They've actually been doing it for a few Mondays now.
Okay.
It's been going on for a while. It's the first time it actually was, I guess we would say, kind of publicizing it. Of course, I was there and did a live video, but I haven't been going, so I just wanted to show up to just give my support. It was good to actually hear from the youth that just said, they are tired of seeing their friends dying and going to funerals. But again, I think the greatest part was just seeing the men present and walking the community. And there was one person's on I guess the little feed. It was like, well, what are they doing other than walking? Listen, first of all, they did more than just walk, and I do want to emphasize. So one thing is them all coming together, no matter what background or walks of life.
Right.
That's a big thing.
It is a very big thing.
Them being consistent and doing it every Monday.
So
is a big
when did
thing.
they start doing this on Monday?
I'm not sure exactly when.
Because this was my first time seeing
It
it.
may have been a few months now.
Oh, okay.
Or a couple of months. I don't know. So they've actually did some things, and then they kind of went back to the lab where they just try to build. And now when they came back out, it was actually good because you can see more of the presence and more uniformed. It is. Like I said, different agencies and different background, religion, all of that. Everybody was there. Guys from the streets, everybody was there.
That's amazing.
It was mainly like we just want, like one person just said, we just want to see our youth grow up.
Right.
So that part was good. So let me just say again, being consistent. The next thing I wanted to say was that not only are they walking in the community, but they're also giving out resources.
Okay.
So it is going through partly is going through the mayor's office. Of the African American engagement. I don't know. Yeah. But it is through the mayor's office as well. So there's a lot of agencies and different things pulled together. They're giving out pamphlets and resources, jobs, and whatever that's needed.
Amazing.
So it's not just a walking, but it was really good. Even though, someone may say that, it was good feedback from the community. They didn't look at it like, oh, yeah, they opportunists or they doing this.
Exactly.
And they try to come back to that community, but also let them know that we're going to be moving to another one. So it didn't look like it was just a,
Yeah, I was going to ask, is it like in the same community or they go to different communities every Monday?
So they will be going to different communities.
Okay.
Yes. I will say that they have kind of been in the west side of Baltimore.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, we need you,
Right.
So they are looking to, move to another side because they know that this is going to affect, it's affecting the entire city as far as the violence. But that was a good part. Okay. The good thing was that they will be shifting soon, but they have been working. I don't know if it's like a 8-week sessions that they're doing for West Side, so that it might have been a couple of months, okay. And then it'll be moving over to the I guess we'll say East Side. But one of the good things is I love before they even move into certain areas, they're building with the community. They are reaching out to your religion backgrounds or your community leaders to say, hey, we're going to be coming into your so I think that's good. Right. Good strategy, and again, just staying consistent would be the key, and that's where we come in, women or the children or whomever, our men, maybe our older seniors that may not be able to go out there, but that is our part, is to actually make sure that we encourage them to keep going. So that was one of the things I just wanted to highlight. And again, just hearing our youth speaking out was really good. Another thing I wanted to actually spotlight as well is that this might be a youth day, but there will be doing so we'll be coming up to another Baltimore ceasefire, and I don't know if that's the closeout event, but on the Sunday of the ceasefire weekend, there will be two of the youth ambassadors. They will be doing a citywide visual at City Hall.
Okay.
So that's,
when is this?
And this is a youth, and so the ceasefire weekend is the first weekend in November. I don't know the dates. I want to say the 3rd, maybe a Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right around the corner.
Right.
But it's definitely initiative that is being brought to you by the youth. So again, I just wanted to say, we can say what they're not doing, but they're doing a lot of great things. So, yeah. So how has everything been going on with you?
Everything been going great. This is my birthday month.
So I'm sorry. Okay,
yeah,
forgot.
I've been a little turned. So, so eventually I calm down towards the end, but everything been going well.
She said she turned down. Oh, Lord.
Celebrate the whole month.
Yes.
The whole month from beginning to end.
Yes.
So
I remember my 30th. I think I did a whole year. Like it was
That's a
every month, the day of my birthday, I was celebrating. And then the big one, I just, did it. And I was still celebrating.
Well, I figured because my birthday is the 31st, I have the right to celebrate from the 1st all the way up to the end. So.
And your birthday is on Halloween.
Yeah, but I don't like Halloween, so we're going to acknowledge that holiday. So. But no, just staying busy with my organization. I did move the date to my gala to February just so that I can work with House of Ruth a little bit better. So I've been collaborating with them. So hopefully that would be a great collaboration because they are a great organization. So
Good. So I'm definitely just excited with everything that's going on in the city because my schedule, I get so many invitations and I'm like, it's definitely, we're definitely working out here. Right. You're definitely working. So with me being so active in the community, I work with a lot of organizations. As I stated, we will have a guest on the show, and it's coming from one of the organizations that I work closely with. It's going to be Advocates for Children and Youth, and they will be talking about certain things that was going on in our community. I will say also that we are looking at ways to actually, support certain initiatives. So we're going to continue to put that on the RTV radio show. So if there's any kind of events that you want us to share, as well as on the Restoring the Village, we want to make sure that we can support, even if it's not, physically going to these events. We can always share with our network because we do believe that helps to, help with our initiatives in the community. So, yes, look at that. I have been like on 1,000, but in a great way. Like it's really good.
Well, you've been out there in them communities.
We have 6 months to go, and it feels like 18 months. But we have 6 months to go. Election is April.
So are you excited, overwhelmed?
I'm actually excited. And of course, I'm to the point where I would say anxious to get it over with. Right. Just because I haven't had a break, from one election to another. Right. I think that's the only thing that kind of drives it out. But I think I would say the feedback is phenomenal from the community as well as, community leaders. The educational part, trying to let people know. And listen, all that's going on in our city, we've had the loss of a congressman that's very prominent in our community. And so it's Congressman Elijah Cummings' funeral is Friday. And, of course, we have so many things going on around that. Just the absence of, one of your leaders in the community and in the city.
I think that was a tremendous loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have that, and then we have so many other things going on in government, where when I'm talking or engaging, some people may not necessarily know what's going on.
Right.
But the fact that I guess I would appreciate more is actually utilizing the certain platforms, and that's what we do here, and that's actually a good thing. We make sure that people will know what's going on in the community and up to date.
Wow,
a lot of people are not following. Right. I was about to say a lot of people don't follow certain politics and stuff, but that is actually helpful to know what's going on. So as I like knock on doors, I make sure, hey, do you know you got to vote for me in April, not November? You just don't know. I had an incident. Someone was like, I'm going to vote for you in November. I'm like, I needed you in June because of the election, primary election last year. So, some don't know the importance of the primary election, but with, local politics, we need to know that is important for the primaries. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's been the hardest part about campaigning so far?
Oh, she about to interview me.
Yeah.
The hardest part is not being able to get to everything and everybody.
Oh, yeah.
The hardest part is also not being able to spend time with my family like I want to.
Yeah.
And time for self, even though I make time, my Mondays are still my, time for self. But we make sure that we, have our little family time. If my daughter comes in, everything stops. I mean, I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, no, I do understand that.
Because it's really hard when I know she's not with me all the time. Right. But I would say that's probably the hardest. And then everything else, it kind of comes with the territory. Any games being played, you got to play. You got to go with the punches, and it's okay. But I think that would be the hardest, is knowing I can't get to certain places. I'm looking forward to a exclusive interview from Diamond K.
Okay, all right.
I saw he had a lot of people on while I've been gone that long.
You have been.
Okay. I see he's had a lot of candidates on, which is good. And that goes back to, we need platforms such as this, that mainstream, it's always a gimmick. And I like that, Diamond K utilizes his platform to give everyone a fair chance to get the word out, because it's about the people voting. It's not about playing the game to try to twist it around.
Right, a popularity contest.
But making it fair for every candidate. I think I saw, if I'm not mistaken, he's had the Democrat and Republican candidates, which is good. Female, male, rather they getting, exposure and not exposure. It's for any and everyone, and that is why I would just continue to just ask everybody to continue to support RadioOnFire. Is really a good thing to feed into.
It is.
Yeah.
That's my new family, so.
I know. I said Tasha is really holding it down.
I know. I don't yeah.
She's like, are y'all going to be here? So I won't be here next week. But I'll be here the following.
But yeah, because like last week, like how you said, like you gotta take that break sometimes. So I need it, family.
Sorry.
It's like okay.
That's how I was like, just take the day, And that is a good thing. You want people to know, and that's why I push all the time. Like the family values is very important, and self-care.
Right.
So you got to do it. When you know that you need that. So we are going to take a brief intermission, a little break. When we come back, we'll have our special guest for this evening. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. I come back with surprise. Hey everyone, we are back. Thank you for staying tuned. And with the show, we have our special guest. It is Ashley Devaughn, my little helper over here. Ashley Devaughn, who is the Youth Justice Policy Director for Advocates for Children and Youth. And as we were talking about, the adopted.
Look, he get it. Yeah.
She's gonna talk to us about, her role, the organization, upcoming things that are going on. We're gonna talk about youth policy, everything. I just want to dive completely in. I also want to shout out Ms. Carol. I also want to acknowledge that if anyone sees sometime the video in the beginning with the Rethink Baltimore, she was actually the one who put that together. So big shout out to Ms. Carol, Advocates for Children and Youth. So we actually put together that interview, and she took that clip, and sometime Diamond Cape, he plays it in the beginning of the show. So I'm really appreciative of that. So Ashley, how are you? And welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
You're welcome.
My first time.
Oh, okay.
RadioOnFire.
Did he get the shh? Oh,
No,
so he didn't get the
Too late.
So could you tell us, I guess starting with just the organization, your role, let's just dive from there.
So
if anyone doesn't know.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I am the Youth Justice Policy Director for Advocates for Children and Youth. Advocates for Children and Youth is a statewide nonpartisan organization that focuses on improving the lives of children and youth in Maryland, and we do that by working on legislation and policy at the state level.
Okay.
So we do a lot of our work at the Maryland legislature, and we work also in the 24 jurisdictions throughout the state of Maryland. I'm actually here today to talk about Youth Justice Month of Action because October is Youth Justice Month of Action. And
I did my homework.
Yeah. And this particular week is also Dignity in Schools Week, so it is to stop pushing our young people out of school. On Saturday, we will be culminating the Youth Justice Month of Action events with a day full of events at the Baltimore Museum of Art. Currently, the Baltimore Museum of Art has an exhibit called Generations, which is a paid exhibit, and it showcases Black artists. Some of them are from Baltimore. Throughout the world. So it showcases artists throughout the world. It's a paid exhibit, and it comes from the Pamela Joyner collection, so that will be free on the full day. At 12 p.m., we will be showing the film Push Out, and that started off as a book by Monique Morris.
I heard about it.
And in September, the last week in September, the world premiere of the film came out, and so this will be the first screening of the film in Maryland and the first screening of the film in Baltimore. So we'll have that film, we'll show that, and then immediately following that, we will have a panel, and we have some really awesome folks lined up for you all. The full day is going to be brought to you in partnership with the Green Mountain West Community Foundation, and the Push Out panel and work will be brought to you, and not only with Green Mountain West, but also partnering with University of Maryland Positive School Center. And then immediately following that, we'll be showing about 25 minutes of our Rethink Baltimore platform, and that's what you mentioned. Interestingly enough, you are one of the only individuals on the Rethink Baltimore platform talking about Black girls.
I didn't even know.
I thought it was really incredible that I got to come here today because you're the only person who really lifted that piece up. But just give a little bit of background. Rethink Baltimore was done by our communications director, Carol Walker, and it is really a narrative about what the life is like being in the juvenile justice system, what are the needs of young people. So we have former system involved folks, directly impacted people, and we really talk about the intersections of education, of health, and of trauma, and a few other things, and it really helps us reimagine what will life be like in Baltimore if we could address the needs of our young people so they don't have to go through the juvenile justice system. So from 12 to 5, it's a free day, a lot of things for the young folks to do. It's a family event. We want everyone to come out. that evening we have a benefit concert because all the work that we do in the state level has to be paid for in some way.
Stop.
So we're so very thankful that Mamiya Yusuf, who is a Baltimore native, she goes by Moo Fresh. She just actually came off tour with Common and with The Roots. Okay. She was on Black Girls Rock recently and just did BET Hip Hop Honors. She's going to be headlining a concert for us that day. And the ticket prices include free spirits and food. And we're really thankful for our liquor sponsor, the Baltimore Spirits Company. So come on out with us, learn more about what we do, learn about our legislative agenda, and learn about the advocacy and reform things that we're doing around juvenile justice in the state of Maryland.
Wow.
So this is from 7 to 9:30, right?
Yep, that is the benefit concert.
Okay. But from 12 to 5 is free.
12. Yeah, from 12 to 5 is free. We really wanted to make sure that we had something for everybody on the day. You know.
That sounds
I'm just trying to see where I can fit in.
Well,
I have a training all day,
well,
but
come to the concert. Have you never seen Moo Fresh perform? You know, I grew up on Lauren Hill.
Yes.
So,
I know Moo Fresh.
You
I grew up on Lauren Hill.
I love music like that.
Maybe I gotta listen to it. I probably do.
If you get an opportunity, check out her Tiny Desk concert.
Right.
The woman is incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I probably do.
She's right from Baltimore City, so I think that's important. She's from Baltimore City. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Simon K, do you know Moo Fresh?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm the only one that just don't.
It's okay that we're here to put you on.
Okay.
Well,
but yes, this sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think if I can do that evening, the concert, I think that's really cool.
You should come, definitely come. We want our young people to come during the day. We're gonna aim to have our young folks at least 18 and up. You know,
43rd District too.
Yeah. So we're gonna have the older young people come out to the concert. But if you have young people who want to be there, your community organization, and you having a little problem with some of the tickets, let us know. We've had some sponsors give some tickets back so we can provide those to community organizations for those individuals that need that support. We really want to make sure that we are celebrating art, celebrating the work that we have done, and we're really holding up the charge to move forward.
Okay. Well, I am excited about that. I do know all of the work that you all are doing, advocates for children and youth. I've been connected with Miss Carol for a long time.
Very talented woman.
Yes, very connected. And like I said, I just appreciate just the advocacy for our youth, period.
It's needed. Definitely to prevent them from being in the justice system. Do y'all work do y'all work with the justice system here as well? Or?
So we do, but what we do more of an inside-outside game. So we look at what are the dangerous policies and practices that we have, and how can we address those. So when we look at we say youth justice instead of juvenile justice because we don't want to negatively stigmatize our young people. So that's the reason why you will hear me oftentimes saying youth justice, and I'll say juvenile, just so people are clear on what we're doing. So we do a series of things. So we look at what policies and practices are detrimental to young people, and we're looking to kind of to reform those things. So in Maryland, we have 33 charges in which youth are automatically charged as adults, and so that's something that we are trying to reverse. We don't want our young people going into our criminal justice system because we want to be sure that we are providing our young folks the skills and the resources necessary so that they can go on to be productive members in their community. We do not want our young people at 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 getting felony charges and serving extensive times in jail because then that will set them on the trajectory towards recidivism.
Yes.
So that is one part of it. So we look at the system, right? We look at the effects of the system. An example of that is that we have 6 juvenile facilities in the state of Maryland, all of which operate on their only 1/3 in use, and 3 of them exist in one particular area or region of the state in Garrett County, and provide 80% of the employment there. Baltimore City and Baltimore County, actually Baltimore City not as much, but Baltimore County showing up significantly in our data. And if we were just to reshift that funding that we spend over there, close, we don't have 3 facilities, all 1/3 use, close 2 of them, have 1 open, and then look at providing those front end supports, because we know that adequate community engagement, adequate community development, and adequate youth engagement are the actual roots of prevention. So we want to have a community that has limited crime or less crime. We want to have a community that has limited or less violence. We know that we must invest in our communities. But what we have seen happen in many of our urban centers, we've seen resources stripped away. We have seen more resources stripped away.
I think we need to talk.
We have seen more resources stripped away. And we've only seen that replaced by policing, and more policing. And so we're setting up really a system where our young people have no choice but to go into our juvenile justice system. And my purpose and point in being in this role is to say our young people are not innately criminal. They were not born criminal. There's nothing about them that is more criminal than other people. It is not something wrong with people of color, because we see that while we represent a very small portion of the overall population in the state, we are overrepresented in the criminal justice system. There's not something wrong with black girls, because black girls are 9 times more likely to be charged for a harsher crime than their white counterparts in the juvenile justice system, and 6 times more likely to receive a out of school suspension than their white counterparts, or to be arrested than their white counterparts. And we should not be overrepresented in the data. Right? And so
absolutely,
it is looking at what can we do on the front end to ensure that our young people do not enter into the system. We have to close that door. How do we make sure that we have the adequate supports in the system so our young people, if they committed a crime and have to go in, that we are able to restore them back into the community? And then what do we need them to have on the back end so that our young people are prepared to be active participants in our community? So that's really kind of what we do, and we do that through policy and through legislation.
I think that's amazing. You like all of it. That was like
this is so this is the reason why we needed you here today. This is a lot of things. So I don't know. I am running for city council, and I think everything you stated was just like great, because it's exactly what I'm trying to push. If we can have certain resources for our youth and the advocacy that is needed, then like you stated, we wouldn't have I don't even say a need, because that's all set up. But they would not be in the system, you know.
So I do want to say this one piece, not to be disrespectful. Advocates for Children and Youth is a nonpartisan organization, and as a nonprofit, we do not endorse any candidates.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that my existence or presence here today is doing that, but I commend anybody who's in their community and wants to work to change it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and the only thing I was just saying is that we make sure that we invest in organizations that are doing it. And the reason that things are happening is because, like you said, the strip of lack of resources. There was one individual that I wanted to actually say. He actually posted this a while ago. And he said, we need to stop blaming the community issues in urban cities on the people who live in the quote-unquote hood, without talking about the issues, the redlining, the housing discrimination, the mass incarceration, systemic racism, and history.
Well, so I would say that I concur. I agree with that part, that person's comment. But I want to kind of take us a step backwards. So there's a book. It's called Slavery by Another Name, and it really evaluates how our entire mass incarceration system was created. And when we talk about the implications of racism and racialized practices, we really have to kind of dig a bit deeper here in Baltimore. I went to a symposium a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and a young man presented on the emergence of the juvenile justice system from 1965 or 68 until now. And the interesting part about being in Baltimore City is that Baltimore City was the first industrial city in the United States, and 80 to 85% of the total Africans that entered into the United States entered through the Baltimore Harbor and through Harbor East as slaves, or as cattle slaves in this country. Every detrimental practice that has ever been done to people of color in this country was first done and perfected in Baltimore. So when we look at a system and we look at systems, we have to understand what are the historic ramifications of those things. Baltimore was not a community that just happened to end up in this way. It was a planned community, and there was also, with that planning, there was a planning for people to excel financially and economically. There was also planning for other individuals to be in destitute poverty.
Which is still going on.
Right. And so if Baltimore City was the archetype for those things, then we must begin to break out how does that show up in our lives today.
Right.
So how does redlining show up in our lives? How does this big white W show up in our lives? How do we talk about the organizations who have the largest amount of impact but receive the least amount of funding? How do we talk about, kind of our resource gaps, in which we have, in 2019, we have individuals living in third world conditions in Baltimore City.
Yes.
So it is important to talk about the conditions that made these things exist while we are also talking about the problem. So I absolutely agree that you cannot address the problem without addressing the root cause.
Right.
And that's why the Campaign for Youth Justice chose ACT to end racism in the youth justice system as a theme for this year. And ACT, the acronym to ACT stand for, I apologize, I just had a freeze. It stands for make people aware, confront, and then transform. And so that is the reason why we have to do things and we have to talk about these systems,
What was the name of the book again?
Racism by Another Name.
Get that.
And you can go on PBS. It has the documentary online, or go to YouTube. It's a really awesome book, but it really even talks about how as soon as, we had, we ended slavery and we ended cattle slavery in some regards. And then we had 7 years of Reconstruction, and when you saw a tremendous amount of black progress in this country, then after that you saw this kind of pendulum swinging the other way. You saw really a large amount of regressive politics that come in, and we saw this language of the 13th Amendment be exploited, and how slavery is illegal except for if you committed a crime. And we saw the growing of our criminal justice system happen, the explosion of our criminal justice system happen. Then we saw kind of this convict leasing happen, the privatized prisons, all before we even made it to 1920, right? And we were seeing young boys and girls being stolen off the street and being put in this place and things like that. So when people say we have to fix the system, I oftentimes push back against that narrative, and I say the system is working the way it was meant to. It was designed.
Exactly.
What we need to do is to create a new system, and creating a new system does not mean that we need to then turn around and throw hate at whoever threw hate at us, or we need to say that you're not from here or whatever the case and push you out. We need to figure out how can we all coexist in this space or in this community together, and what do we need. And so under that premise, my partnership around the Rethink Baltimore panel, we have Derek Chase from Stand Up Baltimore. We also have John Brothers from T. Rowe Price. And we have freshman delegate Stephanie Smith, who is, from the 40th.
Shout out 45th.
Yeah, from the 45th, member of the Black Caucus, and she's on the Ways and Means Committee. And when we talk about how do we begin to rethink Baltimore, it means all of our businessmen, our community members, our young folk, our elders, everyone has to come together to address these issues. And we cannot say that it is okay to say no to this in one area and okay to this in another area. These people can live like this in one particular area of the city or state, and other people have to live a particular way. So we really have to begin to unpack those things and address those things. And we know what works.
Right. We do.
So this summer I was thankful enough to work on a violence and crime prevention initiative in partnership with about 30 or 40 organizations, and in partnership with the Office of Children and Family Success under Teacher Edwards. And we did some targeted work. So we looked at every weekend of the summer, every Friday and Saturday of the summer, and between the time periods of 3 to 11 p.m. when we have the largest amount of expected crime. And we made sure that we promoted the activities and resources that were available. We made sure the youth had consistent space via the Bolt centers or the rec centers and other places, and we planned activities where there were none. And so on 4th of July, a period when we typically have a large amount of violence in the harbor, especially considering what happened Memorial Day weekend, we went right back to the harbor 4th of July weekend and did a Just Chill campaign, had no youth arrests, had no violence incidents reports. So it's not a matter of our kids want to be lawless. It is more or less that
they need something.
We have failed to plan for a large segment of our population. And if we can just kind of stay on this Rethink Baltimore premise, when Memorial Day weekend happened, I did a lot of data. Baltimore City has roughly 85,000 kids. that I did a comparative analysis about 11 cities of similar demographics and size: Atlanta, DC, Detroit, Newark, New Orleans, a few other places, right? And realized that on average we have roughly 40,000 kids than most cities of our same size.
Wow.
Just so I can put that in a full context.
That's interesting.
Right. So just so I put that in full context. Philadelphia, which is, I believe, roughly the 5th largest city in the country, has 100-something thousand kids, and we're only 15,000 behind them. And we're ranked 26th to 29th largest city in the country. So then when we also did a comparative analysis, we realized, like, such as DC, they have 49,500 kids in their public school system compared to our 85,000. They offer roughly 12,000 jobs for 8 weeks. We offer, I want to say, 8,000 for 5. Right? All of their museums and parks are free. Ours are not. They have numerous bowling alleys. They have numerous skating rings, numerous movie theaters. We have one bowling alley, one skating ring, and we have the Mustang Alley and the one in Harbor East, but those are 18 and up or 21.
Yeah, it's targeted towards adults.
Right. So when we're talking about just general use for the average high school kids, we only have one, and that's in West Baltimore. So that cuts off service to the kids in East Baltimore, South Baltimore, and other parts of Northwest and Northeast. And then we have one skating rink, right? That's also West Baltimore. Now these are nice facilities. However, there should not be one. So we have limited amount of youth jobs, no entertainment options. Really only one movie theater, and that's the Senator, that services and shows mainstream movie theaters. Harbor East, young people can go, but it's a smaller venue. They oftentimes don't show the movies that are popular to the majority culture in the city. And, and some other, in the Rotunda, same thing. So, right. And we have a lot of great independent movie theaters, but the one majority movie theater is all the way over east, right on the county line. So is it we have a problem with youth and with crime, or do we have a problem with the fact that
like a resource
we have failed to plan for one of the largest youth populations in the country?
Right.
And I would argue, as someone who's came out of education, that we have chosen to we've just failed to plan. And our political climate has not put us in a great place, but with new individuals coming into positions and new things happening, we have the opportunity to really plan for our young people and put adequate supports in their community. So it is, our school system must improve and continue to improve, but we need to activate our community and our community-based organizations. So when the school doors close, we have a community activation.
Right.
And I just want to continue to push back against the narrative that youth are bad, crime is this, and Baltimore is that, because what I'm finding is we just have not chosen to put things in strategic
to fully invest.
So that young people can live a
they can enjoy their youth.
Yeah.
They can do what youth do.
Well, you just opened my eyes with the data that you just gave.
That's some good statistics.
And last week I spoke to someone about how majority are not even on the school level of reading and writing. There's so many layers
that too,
to that.
Right? So because and this is also a common misconception. So being in Baltimore is a very tricky thing, because Baltimore is the only metropolitan city in a majority suburban and rural state. And it is, where I grew up, we had multiple urban communities. We had Atlanta, Macon, Savannah, so we had a few, like 5 major hubs. Here, this is the only major hub in a majority suburban state. Then Maryland is also, they're one of the richest states in the country.
Yes, it is.
And has the richest counties in the country. And so put that against us also having one of the poorest populations in Baltimore City in the country. You see the issues of socioeconomic status and class push up against each other. And that often forms what we begin to think of the institutions that serve those communities. In my comparative analysis, when I compare Baltimore City to these other school systems of similar size, Baltimore City outperformed many of the same systems of the similar size. So yes, there are major issues that exist in Baltimore City. There are major things that need to be improved in Baltimore City. But when we do a comparative analysis of other urban school systems, Baltimore City is on par with competition rates, or competing on par with those other places, and even really I would argue to say that they outperform most urban school systems.
And it still goes back to we're still being left without.
Right. So, but changing our narrative has to be a part of this. I don't want to continue to, I worked at Baltimore City Schools, and I worked with some of the most educated folk in the country, and I think there's a lot of stuff that has to be done, but we can't move forward from motivating out of a negative place. And if you tell young folks this, that, and this, people are going to then repeat that and think, I had a conversation. I was on a plane flying, and I was sitting next to a man from Baltimore and said, well, I got to get out of the city because, these school buildings. I was like, well, where do you live? And he told me, and I was like, they just built 3 new schools in your area. Have you even gone over there to visit? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, they should have did. I said, well, they did that. So,
right.
And the problem Baltimore has is that Baltimore has always, and this is funny to even say compared to what people think of Baltimore. Baltimore has really led in a lot of ways. And we've been about 5, 10 to 15 years ahead of what is happening in most places. When we look at the Community School Initiative, when we look at the Kerwin Commission. I mean, I mentioned Tisha Edwards. You all know she was former CEO, but when she was CEO, her platform was the whole child. That translates today to social and emotional learning. How many years ahead was she before the social and emotional learning money showed up? Right. Or the restorative justice money showed up. Yeah. So I think some of it
as we go back to Rethink Baltimore.
Yeah. Exactly. And some of this really is us reimagining what our internalized oppression is, because you can't live in an area that has been disenfranchised and not, or dealt with the ramifications of white supremacy and not pick those things up.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if you know Pastor Heber Brown, but you should connect. Okay. He's doing a whole series in church about white supremacy. I mean, raw, and I appreciate it. But we're at an end. I can't even say coming to an end. I want to, please, I'm going to share this on the page. Please make sure that you support and I'll let you just kind of say it. Just let us know exactly, again, what's going on the 26th and how to reach you. And we have like a minute.
So if you're interested in anything that's going on the 26th, please put in Art, Youth, and Justice on Eventbrite. And everything will come up there. And if you're interested in coming to the free portion of the day, please make sure that you RSVP. The space for the movie only holds about 368 people, and we are like 275, 300.
Wow.
And when the world premiere happened for the film, it was standing room only. So I want to make sure that we bring this film and we bring it for free. Okay. If you want to find me, I'm Ashley D. Devaughn. Devaughn is spelled DEVAUGHN on all social media platforms. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you want to find my organization and just learn more about the work that we do, you can find us at Maryland ACY, and that is on Twitter and Facebook.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
She gave us a lot.
All of this
we should have brought her in a little earlier.
Yes.
So thank you all for tuning in. Again, we had a representation from advocates for children and youth. We had Ms. Ashley Devaughn here. She gave us a lot of great feedback to help us rethink Baltimore. And I just love everything that they're doing for our youth. Again, I will make sure that I share the flyer on the page on the RTV radio show. And we are here at the end. Yeah. Same time, same place. I hope to see you all next Tuesday with another great guest. Have a great one, everyone.